So, good morning, you all. Uh, s- Today, we are continuing that bracket notations with um, state vectors, and I think some echo is coming. Just let me see. Yes. So, you know that we have already discussed that we can actually find out the matrix elements for a given operator of eigenfunction psi n, and according to this, so n stands for basically eigenstate in psi n, and m stands for eigenstate psi m. And then if you know the operator, just take the operator, operate on any given eigenstate, and then whatever result you are getting, you take overlap with the other eigenstates, so that you can get individual matrix element, okay, for the given operator. So more precisely, if we just try to understand that how is the state vectors, particularly how you decide your basis vectors, and depending on the basis vectors, how you can define your state vector psi. So Kate psi is the state vector that is given to you, that you can, whatever calculation it is coming, maybe it is distribution, x dependent, r dependent, or time dependent, whatever distribution is there, you are just summarizing with, say, get psi. And you want to represent this psi for a given basis states. So you have a vector space, and in that vector space, you have the basis vectors you define by phi n, where n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, you can have n basis states. So n dimensional vector space. So that means when we are talking about n dimensional vector space, so in every direction you have a unit vector. So you can think about that. This phi 1 is corresponding to the unit vector along dimension number 1, and then phi 2, phi 3, and you can have in different dimensions. So it is a little bit, as I mentioned earlier, it is a you cannot really sketch this situation, but you can imagine that it is just an extension of a three-dimensional vector space, where you have x direction, y direction, z direction, they are orthogonal. Similarly here, all the basis vectors, they are orthonormal to each other. Okay. Now, you see, we are just defining this psi in terms of this equation 59, if you just check. So I think it is easy to understand, don't need to be confused. So what we are writing, that sum over n and ket phi n, that gives you n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. That means all basis vectors it is coming. And whatever this second thing bracket phi n psi it is given, because psi is the vector you want to represent in the vector space, state vector you want to represent in the vector space with basis vector phi n. So if you think only this one, this right side, this bracket phi n and psi. So this means what? This is basically you are taking a inner product between phi n and psi, meaning inner product means it is basically a dot product in vector algebra. So in that case, what you are trying to get, you are trying to get a projection of psi along phi n. Phi n means phi n can be 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So you are taking a projection, if n equal to 1, you are taking a projection with phi 1 along phi 1. If it is n equal to 2, you are taking projection along phi 2. N equal to 3, you are taking projection along phi 3. So this means you are taking projection for the nth basis vector, right? So once you take the projection, so you find the projection of each direction, then you just have this one. This is a vector, right? Phi n is the vector. So you have and this phi n basis vector, when I am considering as a basis vector, that means each direction, whenever I am just expressing phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, their norm, their length is 1 unit, but it gives you different direction. So that means if you are multiplying this one, you know the components along each direction, and then you are multiplying with the unit vector, okay, basis vector, then you can express psi. You can express psi in this in terms of basis vector phi n. Okay, this is simple. Just as if you have a vector in 3 dimension. So a vector is there, so you can write ax along x direction, ay along z direction, az along z direction, and you multiply each component with their unit vector along ax, ay, az. So similar to that. So you are expressing state vector psi. So this psi is right now it is just state vector. You have to call it is a state vector. You have to forget about what is the function. So all those type of things we don't need to consider. Only thing is that the function distribution needed to find out this expression, this inner product. Inner product means, you know that earlier we have described that inner product means this one. This equation 56, whatever it is there. That means you have psi distribution and then phi distribution. You are taking overlap of that. That is actually inner product. So once you get inner product, that is a number, and number multiplied by direction, then you get the entire vector. So now we know that this wave function or psi, that is called state vectors, and state vector we can express in the vector space. But we need to then if we just try to find out this psi, we want to represent in terms of its component. Normally, you know, any vector ax, ay, az, if it is in 3 dimension, if a vector is defined by ax hat, ay hat, az hat, so something like that, then instead of writing each of this direction, what we write a vector in terms of a column matrix like ax, ay, az. Similarly, if psi is a vector and each of this component, whenever you are writing, you are taking projection along phi 1, then you will be calling that component is psi 1. And when you are taking projection along phi 2, the component will be psi 2. Okay. So similar to normal vector expression, vector demonstration, description, we can represent this state vector. This symbol, you see this equal sign and a dot. We put a dot just to mention that it is not really equal, because if it is equal, you have to put all the unit vectors also. So it is something like that. It represents. So psi represents with these components. Okay. So the psi vector can be represented by these components. So once you know all these components, so only thing is that you understand that all these components, they are corresponding to the projection along the basis vectors. So that is what 6t. So now your finally the wave function, you are representing like a column vector. That's it. Any wave vector you can represent mathematically as a column vector. And this projections psi 1, psi 2, psi 3, they are basically a number, and number that comes from the inner product along the. It's a kind of cos theta terms, that projection, you know, that similar thing. So now you see the basis vectors, this phi n. So here we are writing that the basis state, so-called phi m, have components. We represent that phi m n, meaning we can think of that a additional vector. So phi m represented in the vector space, and you try to get that unit vector, what is the component along different basis vector direction. So phi mn means when m equal to n, then it is 1. That means you are taking dot product with itself, that is 1. If you are taking dot product with other basis vectors, then it should be 0. So that is how delta Kronecker symbol delta mn comes. So we similar to psi, if we try to understand how we can represent all the basis vectors, phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, phi 4, and so on up to n, right? So obviously, if there are n dimensions, then in the vector you are supposed to get n different elements. If you are representing, suppose you want to represent a basis vector along 1, n equal to 1, so you can have n different axes. Out of n different axes, the first axis you are putting 1. So all other vector components will be 0. So phi 1 we are representing also with a this is a basis vector component. So we are representing also with a column vector. Only you have 1 only in the first as a first element, and rest of them is 0. This means that you are considering basis vector along n equal to 1. Now basis vector corresponding to n equal to 2, you can use another column vector, that is 0, 1. So second one will be 1, all other will be 0. Okay, remember that the psi will have all the components, but the basis vector itself, we can write something like this: phi 3, then 0, 0, only in third place you will be getting 1. So in this way, all the basis vector you can define. So basis vector you can define, and based on that basis vector you can find any vector. You can express, you can span any vector, any state vector or wave function in terms of this basis vector. Okay, so this is how 61 goes on. Now try to understand a bit more practical aspects, practical applications, for example, practical use of this type of basis vector and various vectors. Suppose in this vector space, for known phi basis vector, phi is the basis vector as we defined here. This is the basis vectors, all these are defined here according to 61. So these basis vectors are fixed to you. Okay, so that means these axes of the vector space are known to you. It is given to you. Now you have two vectors in that vector space, two wave functions, ket psi, and this is a ket chi. We just write down chi. You can put anything else also. Two different vector. Now, if I want to take their inner product, now you know that's in any vector space, to vector field, if there are two vectors, you can add them, you can multiply them. So one of the important multiplication is the inner product. So dot product in terms of that all the basis vector known. So here inner product will be expressing like this. That is bracket notation. Mathematically, you know that they are overlap basically. But in matrix formulation, what we can write, you see, we can write like this. You are writing this phi n, psi phi n. What does it mean? That is basically you are considering the, you are trying to get projection of the psi along the n. And this one, you are getting the projection of the chi vector along phi n, all the values. This way we can represent, right? So inner product can be represented, you see the difference. You are just summing up, and then you see the ket phi n and bra phi n here in between, chi and psi. So you understand this one is nothing but phi n, psi n, and this one is nothing but chi n. But only thing is that we know that this is the this expression is very important. Frequently we need to use that. If you have a inner product like this, you represent the inner product like this. If you want to interchange phi n and chi, or any two vectors, state vectors, if you are just interchanging quantum mechanical point of view, then you have to take complex conjugate of it. So phi n come to bra side and chi comes to ket side. Then you have to take complex conjugate. This can be understood very nicely, very simply here using equation 56. You see that psi phi you are writing here. Now if you are just taking a complex conjugate, then what you have to write? Phi psi star, phi star psi. So that means if I write phi here and psi here, so we have to write here phi star psi. So that means you have to take a complex conjugate. So if you are changing bra to Ket to bra, that means you have to take the complex conjugate. So from our earlier definition, as I said, that whenever you are writing chi and phi n inner product, that means you are trying to get projection along phi n. Remember that this phi n is the basis vectors component. Okay, chi and psi are the two arbitrary vectors in that vector space. So if this is chi n, right, we can write this one as, if I just change this one, phi n to chi n, phi n chi equal to chi n. Now if you are just switching bracket things, then what you have to do, you have to get the complex conjugate of this. So whenever I am writing chi phi n, that means chi n star. Okay, now let us come back to equation 62. So I know that this is chi n star and this is psi n. So this means chi n star and this means your psi n star, psi n. So we are writing like this. So 62 can be simply written like this. This is a projection of psi along phi n and this is a projection of chi along phi n, but because it is reversed, so star. So equation 64, it is if you just try to expand this one, what you will get, that n equal to 1, that means first term chi n star chi 1 star psi 1 plus chi 2 star plus psi 2 plus chi 3 star psi 3 plus chi 4 star psi 4, so on. This is a series. So you are just multiplying, you will be getting n. That's a sum, right? So 62 is inner product of chi and psi, and that ultimately it is coming like this. So you can remember that your direct dot product, if you take, if A and B are two vectors in 3 dimension, then if you take dot product, then you have AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ. Similar thing you are getting if you have n dimension basis vectors. So if you are taking dot product, that means inner product. So you're supposed to get these values. So just take simple multiplication, chi n, psi n, something like that. So this equation 64 you can write in a matrix form. You see, suppose you are considering this is actually the say one row matrix and this is a column matrix. So you see, if you are writing this one, then if you just multiply this to this, then actually you are getting this one. Okay, right? Where this one, this in this case, we find that this, whenever we are just taking the bra vector of chi, that represents actually chi 1 star, chi 2 star, chi 3 star. That means complex conjugate of the each projection vectors. Okay, so whenever you are writing, suppose you are writing a psi here as a column vector and a ket vector, but if you want to use this, you represent this as a bra vector, so that will be just row vector with a psi 1 star, psi 2 star, psi 3 star. Okay, is this clear up to this point? You have any questions? All are clear, right? Anyone is having any question up to this point? No. So then we proceed. So this is straightforward. I think it's not so difficult to understand. So now, so this is the major thing. We are just trying to understand a bit more towards actual quantum particle, and when we'll be discussing about your photon, or mostly we'll be discussing about photon, but all the concepts, you see, when we are considering photon as a quantum particle, right? When we consider photon as a quantum particle, that means we can use this notation, all this simple mathematical formulation, whatever we are developing, that simply can be used. So here, just a few points to note, and very important, this 4 different points I just mentioned here. So it is important to keep in mind that the column vectors, row vectors, and matrices are constructed with respect to a particular set of basis states. So that is very important. So first of all, you have to decide basis states. There should be some basis vector field, and their basis states should be there. Instead of in a normal three-dimensional case, you can imagine n dimension. According to your wish, if you need more than n, you consider more than n, but you have to consider that you have to formulate such that each of these basis vector, they are orthonormal to each other. But that means earlier whatever we showed here, I think these things should be according to the Hilbert space, all the n-dimensional vector spaces. So this condition should be fulfilled. So equation 39. So you can decide your basis vectors such that based on that you can construct your so-called column vectors or row vectors. Column vectors or row vectors, anything you can consider with respect to the particular set of basis states if it is given. Once you know the basis states, then you are fine. Okay, I can find out overlap with those basis vector, and then we can find the components, and then we can write in terms of that vector as well as matrices. Matrices I will be coming little while later how it is constructed. Okay, so now you see second point, the blue color here. If a different set of basis states are used, suppose you in the same vector field, you can actually define different basis states by kind of rotation or whatever. You can use different type of basis states. Then the state vectors and operators remain the same. Whatever state vectors you have earlier considered and operator, everything will remain same, but the column and row vector or matrix representing the state vector or operator respectively will change. So this is very important also. Your psi for a given state vector, that is there. Whatever there, according to your quantum mechanical system coming, that will be there, right? But whenever that is same thing, but whenever you are representing that in one basis set, you have different components. And if it is basis set, basis vectors are rotated, basis axis, all the axis rotated, so that means components will be different because it is rotated. Theta angle between them is rotated, so their dot product or inner product will be different, but the vector direction will remain same. That is what all the things. Actual vector, that should be intact. So you can actually rotate the basis vectors. You can just introduce different set of basis vector, does not matter, but you can construct all your row vector, column vectors, that means components, according to that basis vectors, but your original vector remains same. It is just you can visualize also in 3 dimensions. Your x, y, z axis can be rotated a bit, but vector A is there in a certain direction, then your components values will be different. So all these components, new components, if you add, it will give you same result. So only components value will be different. That's it. Now, thus to give any meaning to a row vector or a column vector or a matrix, it is essential that the basis states are known. Basis states are known. That is what I said. Yeah. Did I skip something? I think I am missing some. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right. So we are just still continuing this thing. Let us now take example of 2 spin half state vectors defined by this one. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. Fine. I think I'm all right. I thought something missing. No. So let us now take example of 2 spin half state vectors defined by this one. Okay. Now you just follow carefully. Okay. We are defining a state. The state is now not I'm calling like a psi or phi or chi. It is just I have given a number 1. So whenever it is a state and you are representing as a vector, you can use any symbol. Psi, phi, chi, even number. Does not matter. We are representing here is a number, 1. Because that is conventionally used in many books also. And we call it as a, we will be calling that vector representation in a vector space, and that in that vector space the basis vectors are basically spin. So how does it how you can visualize that? So suppose you found a wave function. So suppose you have a state psi you are getting, but that state psi so far we are discussing that can be a function of position, that can be a function of momentum, and also function of t. That's fine. Now, can you imagine any quantum mechanical wave function which is not a function of position? Anyone can answer? Any quantum mechanical state, quantum state you can imagine which function. For example, if we consider a electron circulating in around nucleus, or any electron in a quantum well or whatever, you know that this psi you can express in terms of x or r t, something like that you can express. But can you imagine any state, quantum state, which is not really position dependent? Anyone can help me? So may I ask Murali Krishnan? Yeah.
So spin or polarization?
What?
Spin of an electron or polarization? Spin
right,
or polarization?
Exactly. Spin and or polarization of a photon. That's correct. I think this is a very good answer, because you know, suppose an electron, suppose somehow you have some kind of you have created certain kind of potential well or whatever, so that it cannot really move. Position is fixed. Quantum particle position is fixed, but still it can have some kind of dynamic behavior because it has some kind of size, mass, or whatever. Then that suppose it is a circular ball like things, even though point size, so you can imagine it's a ball like thing. So that ball, if there is no freedom to move x, y, z or all direction, you can imagine that is a fixed at a particular point, but it is spinning in any direction. In a particular axis, if you consider, suppose x-axis this one, and along this x-axis, the electron is spinning like this. So that can be considered clockwise or anti-clockwise. Depending on that, we can consider plus, minus. Okay, so that can be a quantum state also. And sometimes you may find that it can have a this direction, intermediate direction also. It is there some particular function you can also imagine. Similarly, whenever you are considering a photon is also, though it has no mass, but it is like a quantum particle, and you imagine that photon somehow, you just can do some kind of Gedanken experiment here as well, that the photon is stuck somewhere. Okay, so but stuck somewhere means, you know, photon is you have some kind of associated electric field is there. Electric field, magnetic field will be there, right? So it is actually you have forced something that energy will not be escaped, propagated like a traveling wave. But still, you can imagine that the electric field is there, and that electric field direction will be there. Direction, to imagine a direction, you don't need to express a space. You just only have to say that, okay, in this direction. Suppose you are standing in a certain point and you are looking at a particular direction, you don't need to mention the position. So I can say that you are looking towards north. That is enough to describe your state. Okay, I don't need to say that what is your all the coordinate system. We don't need to mention. So that is actually a kind of state also. So in that case, how you can visualize your basis states? Okay, so I want to express a certain that is called spin half state. We represent here as 1 with this expression. What is this? We are just 1 over root 2, and this is minus, and we are putting I here. We'll come to know why all these i's come, things we require, and that will be clearer. But I think thing is that wave function is an abstract things, and if you can define a basis states perfectly or conveniently, I would not say perfect, maybe sometimes it is perfect to you, or it may not be perfect to others, but conveniently you are just defining basis states, basis vectors, right? Then you can represent your spin of a electron or polarization of a photon. Polarization means it can be polarized one particular direction or orthogonal polarization we can think of. Okay, so we are writing one basis vector as minus and another basis vector as plus, and their basis vector will have certain kind of coefficients, right? Basis vector combinations will be there. You are expressing like that. One is here we are putting minus, another I am putting another vector, it is putting plus. We can say that this is one type of spin half quantum state, this is another type of spin half quantum state. Two types of that plus that means clockwise or anti-clockwise you can just mention. You can imagine that if this is a number and this is a number and you are putting I, say one real axis and imaginary axis, and then if you just compare these two, they are actually, you can say that they have certain kind of angle, and you can decompose their components also in the imaginary axis. So imaginary axis this one, and real axis this one, with 1 by root 2 is there. Here also imaginary axis is this one and real time. Then you can say that they are actually two different vectors with the basis of -1 and +1. So minus this symbol, actually, again, if we consider this minus and plus as a basis vectors for a spin half system, that is actually conventionally we define, then how you can represent that in terms of vector. For example, when we express here all the basis vector phi 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, all other 0, only 1 is 1. And here second one is 1, all other 0. That means only one component is there, all other components are considering 0 along that phi 2 direction, phi 3 direction 3. So similarly, here we represent plus basis vector represented as 1, 0, and minus is 0, 1. That means first one, it's a, you see, I am not saying that it is x-axis, it is y-axis. It is just, we are considering two basis vectors. This, because the vector space, spin vector space you can imagine here. In that case, one is along, it has a two bases. So since two bases is there, so in a column vector you will have two components. So whenever first basis we are considering, that is 1 and 0, and then second one we can consider 0 and 1. So it is not like along phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, we are just considering along +1 and along -1. So this is a mathematical abstract way of imagining basis vectors. You can, if even instead of plus and minus, you could use some other symbol also. That does not have any problem. Only thing is that you have to keep in mind that you use that one for this purpose, right? So if these are the two vectors, basis vectors, now in terms of these two basis vector, I am just representing 1 and 2. So what does it mean? This minus kate minus, I'll be using this one. And kate plus, I'll be using this one. That means I could decompose this vector 1 into two basis vector components. So first basis vector component is 1 by root 2, and second component will be minus I by root 2. So that these are the components of the vector kate 1. Similarly, vector kate 2, it has also two components. One is I by root 2 along plus direction, and minus direction it will be 1 by root 2. So these are the components, and this is basically you can consider as a unit vectors. So it is not like normal x, y, z, or even whatever phi 1, phi 2, phi 3. Even it is space dependent, not there. We are just defining like this. Fine. So now we represent that one. So same thing I just represented here. These two things, 69, 70. We just repeated here. Now thus we can represent the state vectors, right? You just put down here. -1 means this one. You just put here minus, get this value, and plus get this one. So what you get this one. So that means get one vector is represented by this one. Again, I am just putting not exactly equal. It is just representation. Whenever I am putting in a vector form, it is just kind of representation, just to meaning. Sometimes some textbook they just directly write equal. That is also okay. But you should remember that this not directly equal. It is basically you are decomposing into components along the basis vectors. So only you are writing the components part in a column. Here also component part I am just writing like this. Okay. So two vectors we can represent here. So now they are Ket vectors. Suppose you were asked to find what is the corresponding bra vectors. So if I just want to represent this vector as a 1, like a bra 1. So what I will be writing? I know that whenever it is a Ket vector, that is represented as a column vector. And when it is a bra vector, that is represented as a row vector. Now, whenever you are representing a column vector in like a Ket vector in terms of bra, what you have to do, you have to just take, if it is complex terms are there, you have to take complex conjugate. Because here also, if I go back, you see this one. This normal psi vectors is column vector. Now, whenever chi you are writing as a bra, so you have to take like a complex conjugates of this one. So there also, we just write down here. We are writing -i here, 1, 1 here. 1 is a real number we are writing here. Similarly, bra 2, if we just represent, it will be -1, 1, that way. Now, interesting part is that if you just put down here, suppose you have in that spin vector space, you have one vector you represented as 1, another is 2. Now, if you try to find inner product or norm of vector 1, so you take a like one bracket 1 and 1 inner product. If you just try to multiply this one, you write this one first and then this one. So this one means this one multiplied by this one, right? So if you multiply these two, what you will get? You will get 1. You can just do quick math also. So this is a row matrix and this is a column matrix. 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2, it will become 1 by 2. And then if you just multiply this one, I times I, that will be plus 1. 1 times 1 plus 1, so 2. Inside it will be 2, that 2 divided by 2, it is 1. Similarly, if I take an inner product of these two, they are also becoming 1. So that means this vector 1 and 2, whatever I represented in a spin vector space in this, in this expression, in this type, that is actually normalized also. So I can represent the weightage as a imaginary, it's a complex. The wave function is a complex, right? So we are representing in a complex form. I is there here. Here I is there. So in this complex form we are representing, and then if you represent in the complex form, then you can actually find out they are actually normalized also, and you can identify the basis vectors also. So that means first thing is that you try to find out the so-called basis vectors. And then depending on that basis vector, you can represent your other vectors. Vector will be same. Suppose vector, it will be given by your whatever system is giving, that is vector. But whenever you are representing mathematically, you have all these formalism you need. Now, next thing. Next thing is the operator. Yes.
Sir,
Go ahead.
sir, for I were including because we want to satisfy the normality condition.
In this case, yes. In this case, you can have different type of expressions also. We'll come to that point in course of time. Here, particularly, whenever I am just expressing in terms of basis vector, this plus and minus, right? Then we are just defining arbitrary two wave function, wave vector 1 and wave vector 2. You can define some wave vector 3 also with a different coefficient. These are not fixed. These are the two arbitrary wave function we are just handling in the using these basis vectors. That's it. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So just it's an arbitrary wave function you can consider, and they are actually normalized also. We could show it is just constructed in such a way that they are actually normalized. And what I said that normally any wave function that is actually complex, so we have represented in complex term, but the basis vector itself can be a complex also, right? So that does not mean we have to introduce I forcefully here. It need not be. Okay. And again, another thing you see, suppose you are taking an inner product between 1 and 2. Sorry, I missed that part earlier. If you take an inner product between 1 and 2, you check, they are 0. So these 1 and 2 constructed such that they are normalized as well as orthogonal to each other. So they themselves can be again considered as a orthonormal basis vectors. So I can consider either these are the basis vector and themselves can be considered also orthonormal. But I have represented in terms of plus and minus. That's it. Okay. Now next thing. Now we try to find out. We just a little bit concentrate on operator now. How to construct operator? I think last class someone was asking how actually you can get a operator. I just described there qualitatively. Now you see the actual in vector formalism I can find out. Let us consider a wave vector psi in a given basis vector defined, and suppose you are operating a given operator O is given. That can be a derivative. That can be some kind of position vector, or you are operating something. That can be integration also, whatever. This is operator. It's a wave function operator. You just imagine mathematically, whenever practically you are saying this is a function and you are operating on that. But here you are representing as a kate psi. Now when you operate, what we can get if you operate on this, then you get another kate vector. That is called xi here. Okay. So this is actually normally whenever you have a wave vector is there, state vector is there, and you operate to get certain different type of functions, kate vector, xi you are getting, right? Now this xi I am writing in this form. Just don't go to this here, because I know that the basis vectors are phi n, phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, so n dimension vector space. Now this one 73 I am writing little bit, if see like this, if I write, I think this type of formula we have used earlier also, that you see I am taking psi with the inner product of phi n. That means I am trying to get a projection of psi along phi n. N can run from 1 to n, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So when I n running from 1, 2, 3, 4, then I can get a 1 basis vector here along one direction, phi 1, and then multiplied by this projection. 2, you can get this one multiplied by projection along that 2. 3 along that vector basis vector, and then multiplied by projection along 3. So I can write. So this is just, it looks like that we are writing like this. As a, whenever I am operating on this, basically we are just expanding our psi. I am expanding psi in terms of basis vector components. So this thing, this is actually nothing but expanding psi in terms of basis vector components. So this is the psi. I'm just expanding in terms of basis vector components. Operator as it is. Now, what do we do? Let us take this operator inside, because these are linear, all are linear, you should remember. So I can actually operate individually, each of them, each component I can operate, and that will be also okay. So I took operator inside. Okay. Now, what we do, I have just think about this one and this one. In between, you forget for the moment. This, you got this from this one, you are getting this one, right hand side, this part. Okay. Now what we do, I want to get certain matrix format. What we do, we, you know, these are basis vector, phi n. Phi n's are basis vector. So n can be equal to m. N equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. In between one number I am designating as a m. Okay. Now I take a inner product with phi m both sides. So n is running from 1 to certain n values. In between, certain basis vector is phi m. I am taking inner product both sides. That means I am just adding here a bra vector of phi m, and there also I am adding bra vector of phi m. The left side I am just adding. So 74 is nothing but I am just multiplying with a bra vector phi m here. So this is so simple. You just see the normal functions, and then suddenly you are getting so simplified form. You don't need to handle all the mathematical formulas, etc. So in this form you are writing, right? Now left hand side is what? You got a new xi vector, ket vector, because of the operation of psi. You are operating O and you get xi. Now you take a phi m inner product, left hand side you concentrate. What does it mean? You are trying to get a projection along phi m. That means I want to find out a component of xi along phi m. So I write that component is xi m. Right? So left hand side is actually reduced to a component of xi along phi m direction. M can be 2, M can be 3, M can be 1. So one of the basis vectors, right? We have xi m now. Now right hand side. So carefully you look this one. The first thing. What is that? Phi m O phi n. What is that? We can suppose for a given m is fixed. M is fixed. Now n can run over 1 to certain values. So this thing we are writing as a O, M and N. O subscript Mn. Meaning it is something like that. Whatever, you know, that matrix element earlier we have represented here. This one. It's equation 58. So that means if you know nth wave function and mth wave function and the operator, you integrate that one, you get a value. Now m is fixed, you are for a given psi m, now you are running n 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Then you can get different value, integration value you will be getting. So you are basically getting some numbers whenever n and m varying. M equal to 1, n equal to 1, you get a number. M equal to 2, n equal to 2, there actually mathematical function is there from the quantum mechanical system. Once you integrate, you get a number, nothing else. So you get just a series of numbers. So that number, we are just putting OMN for particular m I am writing n equal to this one, and this one, this last bracket one, this is phi n psi. So similar to here, xi, I took a projection of xi along phi m. Here also I am taking projection of xi psi along phi n. Remember that this phi are the basis vectors. You should not mix with the phi with the psi. Psi and xi, that is we are handling those two vectors, vector state. But this phi m, that is actually fixed basis state, basis vector set, basis vectors. That is actually given to you. That you have to decide first. You have decided that. Once you decide, then you are just finding that what is the component of the xi along phi m. That is actually nothing but, you see that it is actually sum over n. So OM1 psi 1, OM2 psi 2, OM3 psi 3, OM4 psi 4. All that has to be added. Then only you can get what is the projection of xi along the phi m. Okay, so that you just, it is not a simple mathematics. Just try to little bit visualize this thing, that you are operating on psi, then what you are getting, you have psi also, you have different components based on that basis vectors. That means you are operating all the basis vectors, components, operating on all the components, and all components contributing to xi in a certain direction. So mathematically we can write that I am just getting mth component of xi when I'm writing like this. That means it is a contribution coming from all components of psi. You m equal to 1, it can be 1, it can be 2 also. Even second component, that is also coming from all. So that means I have psi, I want to find out what is xi. Then in between, I need to know how this operator is working on affecting each of these components, right? So this thing is written like this. Then this equation 73, this one, you have mth component. Now you put m equal to 1. You get one set of addition. M equal to 2, you get another set of equation. M equal to 3, you get another set of addition, basically. 4, then you get all the n number of, if there are dimension n, then you can write down the 76 like a n different equations, right? And those equations you can write down in a matrix form. You see, if you want to get m equal to 1, xi 1 means this row has to be multiplied by all these psi 1, psi 2, psi 3. O11 psi 1, O12 psi 2, O13 psi 3, O14 psi 4. That is actually giving you xi 1. For xi 2, you are getting O21, this row multiplied by this one, xi 3, and so on. Now you see this equation now become very nice matrix form. Only thing is that this operator elements that you have to actually calculate according to this equation. That's basically expectation value. Expectation value of nth component of phi 2, mth component of phi m, that is actually basis vector. They are actually basis vector, remember that. Basis vector phi n, and you are taking their expectation based on this operator, and then you get all this value. So these things, if you know mathematically some number, you can calculate from your quantum system, then you can actually define different states. You can convert one state to another state. Psi, this is a psi state, psi column vector. You operate on that, you get another thing, right? So sometimes it can happen that whenever you are operating on that, you get a real number and return back the same thing. So that is what most interesting for our normal photonic technology, photonic devices, etc. So is that clear, this matrix formalism? Any question? Okay, now this is done for today. So we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Sir.